The search for a new leader of the Rochester City School District is underway tonight. The school board took the first step in looking for the 8th leader of the district in the last decade. Good evening, I'm Doug Embledge. Ginny is off tonight. The district bought out the last superintendent's contract 2 years early. 13 WHAM's Carla Rogner was at the meeting tonight as board members discussed the process of finding a new leader.
Yeah, tonight the board appointed a search firm to help look for candidates. Members also discussed ways to get input from the community on what they would like to see in RCSD's next leader. A special board meeting kickstarts the process to find a new superintendent. Board Vice President Beatriz LeBron says a search firm will help identify ideal candidates as the board establishes the qualities they're searching for in a new leader.
I would like to see someone who is experienced and has actual experience with turnaround of school districts, right, that are perhaps failing or in receivership.
LeBron expects the search will be a similar process used to find the last 2 superintendents, partially private, yet keeping community members informed and involved.
I will tell you that some community members want to be involved from the very beginning, but it is a human resources position at the end of the day. And so there are some human resource, even laws that we have to follow through a process. And individuals have a right to apply for a position, right, without it being fully public if they're not even a finalist.
State Monitor Dr. Shelley Jalla will also be involved in the process. In the interim, the district will be served by Dr. Carmine Peluso. He's worked in the district for several years already, most recently as Deputy Superintendent of Operations and Administration.
Our priorities are once again to improve, student outcomes for our kids, right, by far, and it is our main goal to make sure that they're learning and they're learning what they need to learn, to make sure that we're fiscally responsible and fiscally sound and that we have a climate and culture that's conducive for learning.
Dr. Peluso says he's not yet sure if he'll apply for the full-time position, but he has some ideas on what he would like to see in RCSD's next leader.
I think someone that's going to be able to connect with the community, know the district, right, know the culture, do their research so that when they do come in, they're able to kind of hit the ground running and make the progress that we need to make as a district.
And Vice President LeBron says realistically, it could take several months to a year to find a new superintendent. The next step is to finalize a contract with the search firm.
After today in the murder trial of James Krauseneck, accused of killing his wife Kathleen with an axe in Brighton in 1982. Krauseneck was arrested more than 3 decades after the crime. 13 WHAM's Jackie Napier is live from the Hall of Justice now with some new testimony about when he showed up for work on the day his wife was found murdered. Jackie?
Yes, Doug. Today, jurors heard from former colleagues of Krauseneck's who explained that his usual cool, calm demeanor seemed hurried, rushed, and frustrated the day Kathy was murdered. I also had the chance to speak exclusively with Krauseneck's defense attorney about why some evidence we heard today may be beneficial in his client's case. On Tuesday, jurors heard testimony from the Monroe County Crime Lab about a screwdriver found in the Krauseneck home.
The theory, I believe, of the Brighton Police Department was that that screwdriver had something to do with the point of entry. There was wood molding in the door, and the theory was, at least, that they were going to match the white paint on the screwdriver with the white paint in the molding. And in fact, as you heard the testimony, it didn't match.
The victim's sister, however, feels that the lack of fingerprints found on evidence is suspicious.
We think that's very interesting because if there were 3 people living in the house, there would be prints on something. And it's also interesting that if an intruder, as the defense is trying to say, broke into the house, wouldn't they have their fingerprints? So would that lead the jury to believe that everything was wiped down?
Judge Charles Schiano read testimony on behalf of Dr. Evelyn Lewis, the medical examiner who has since passed away. She conducted Kathleen Krauseneck's autopsy. Dr. Lewis testified that she estimated Krauseneck's time of death to be sometime between 4:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m., give or take 2 hours. Now, soon the jury will hear more about Ed Larrabee, the man who made a deathbed confession to killing Kathleen Krauseneck in 2014. The defense is expected to call their first witness this Friday.
The New York State Thruway Authority is cracking down on drivers who don't pay their tolls. It's resuming a program to suspend a driver's registration for refusing to pay up after a certain number of notices. Cheyenne Walker tells us what drivers need to know before they take a ride on the Thruway. Cheyenne?
Yes, Doug, the Thruway Authority suspended the program for a few years because of issues with implementing the cashless tolling system. But between 2018 and 2021, the Thruway Authority lost out on $64 million in uncollected tolls. The executive director says going easy on drivers who evade tolls ends now.
Drivers who don't pay their tolls for riding on the Thruway, beware. The New York State Thruway Authority say any driver who refuses to pay their bill will get 4 notices with late fees before they are referred to the DMV to have their car registration suspended.
I think if people have been given advance notices and maybe a couple of opportunities and a reasonable length of time to pay, I think that's probably an appropriate next step because I hope that will get their attention.
In 2016, cashless tolling was introduced along the Thruway, leaving some drivers confused about the billing process.
Customers without E-ZPass were entirely unfamiliar with the process and didn't understand that a toll bill would be mailed to them. They also didn't know that they needed to have their most up-to-date address on file with DMV as required by law.
The confusion combined with the pandemic forced the Thruway Authority to pause enforcement between 2018 until now. Over that time period, more than $60 million in tolling fees went uncollected. That money goes towards road maintenance.
We receive no federal, state, or local taxpayer dollars. We believe it's only right that everyone pays their fair share.
Asia Ball says she has toll fees she has to pay for using the Thruway.
I really don't think that's cool at all because, aren't we like the only state that pay to get in and out? Or I don't know, it's a lot. We pay a lot anyway, so I don't know.
Most of us, I'm sure the vast majority, pay our Thruway tolls, and I think it's reasonable for everyone to be treated the same.
The State Thruway Authority says it is still working to educate drivers on how the electronic tolling and billing process works.
And over the past few years, the Thruway Authority has taken some steps to clear up some of the confusion, such as installing new signage, simplifying billing statements, offering an amnesty program to help customers get back into the black, and enhancing technology and increased staffing at call centers.